Welcome to Nerd.World. If you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button as it really helps, and beyond that, really enjoy the video. In today's episode, I'm continuing my Captain series, and today I'm looking at the provisional Starfleet Captain, Captain Tim Waters, the commanding officer of the USS Valiant. Before we get started, again, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below what you think of this video and any other Starfleet captains you might like me to cover in this series. And with that said, let's get started. Waters was actually a Starfleet cadet, part of an elite training group that combined military tactics with those traditional training of Starfleet, trying to create a more aggressive and more flexible unit for Starfleet to respond to crisis situations known as Red Squad. Waters was the head of his particular team of Red Squad, and they were on a training cruise aboard the USS Valiant, with only one commissioned officer on board, the ship's actual captain, Captain Ramirez. But at the outbreak of the Dominion War in 2373, they were caught behind enemy lines and attacked by the Jem'Hadar. Waters was given command of the ship when Ramirez was fatally wounded and later died. However, it is interpreted that Ramirez wanted Waters to return the Valiant back to Federation territory, but he instead, out of arrogance in his own abilities and the abilities of his crew, decided instead to continue the mission behind Dominion lines to try and find out intelligence about a new Dominion battleship, which was larger and more powerful than anything else yet seen. He would keep his ship behind enemy lines for 8 months with defective warp engines limping along at warp 3. That was until they intervened in a Dominion attack on a Federation outpost and picked up a couple of stragglers, Ensign Nog and Federation journalist Jake Sisko, the son of Captain Benjamin Sisko, the commanding officer of Deep Space Nine, a man whom the members of Red Squad respected greatly, and initially extended that respect to Jake. Nog was able to fix the problems they had with their engines thanks to his experiences with Chief O'Brien aboard the USS Defiant, and was able to bring the ship up to full speed, at which time they were able to theoretically complete their mission. He gave Nog a battlefield commission to the rank of Lieutenant Commander and put him in charge of engineering. Jake, who was suspicious of Waters, thinking him a cocksure and overconfident commanding officer who he believed probably should have returned to Federation territory and not remained behind Dominion lines, kept challenging his authority. They were able to gather the intelligence, however, that they were there to find about the Dominion battleship. But then, once again, instead of returning to Federation lines, Waters decided that it was a good idea to try and destroy the ship. That perhaps that a sneak attack, a quick attack, the Dominion would never see it coming, would be the best way to go, rather than bringing that information to Starfleet intelligence. They, as a result, came up with a plan to modify several of the ship's quantum torpedoes to damage what they considered to be a weakness in the ship's hull, and would cause a cascade reaction, but they'd have to get within 300 meters of the ship in order to hit the vessel with these torpedoes, as modifying them with the new explosives would require the removal of all the guidance systems, so they'd have to manually target and hit, and that would require doing it at relatively close range due to space is really big, and the Dominion ship could easily just move out of the way if they fired them further away. So that's what they did. This turned out to be a mistake. Jake had warned that this was a bad idea, but everyone was so enamored with the charismatic young commanding officer that Jake ended up in a brig and everyone else went along with the plan. They then would attack the ship, and superficially at first it would look like they had succeeded as the vessel was engulfed in a great fireball. But then, very quickly, they all realized that the vessel had survived and would open fire on them, and now being so close to it, they were being hit at close range by high-yield weapons, fired by a heavily armed and powerful Dominion ship that they really didn't understand the capabilities of. Much of Waters' problem came from his arrogance and his overconfidence in himself, his abilities and the abilities of Red Squad, who were all cadets and had no field experience. Most of them were between the ages of 17 and 20. They had no deep space experience, let alone true tactical experience, only training simulations. Nothing really in the field other than a handful of limited engagements with some Jem'Hadar and Cardassians, which, although they had been successful in, that was mostly due to the fact that they were aboard one of the premier, most powerful vessels in the Federation, rather than necessarily their abilities. Waters also suffered from a chemical addiction. He'd begun taking cordrophin stimulants as a means to try and be a better captain, or as he saw it, so he could be more present all the time, trying to micromanage every duty. Whereas a more experienced officer would have realised you need to be better, not do more. And this addiction, combined with his arrogance, led his ship and his crew to their ultimate destruction, with only one of the cadets surviving the destruction of the Valiant along with Nog and Jake. The Dominion destroying most of the other escape pods, or just many of the crew not managing to make it to them. Waters, to his credit, died on the bridge of his ship, commanding the battle, and his crew trying to save the ship and salvage something from this reckless engagement that he dragged his crew into. On that level, he at least died doing as he believed and died fighting the enemy of the Federation. But it was a battle he never should have entered into. He never should have taken his young cadets in their naivete into such a violent engagement with such a hostile enemy that they really didn't understand or really know how to defeat. They drew a random conclusion that they didn't think that the Dominion, such an advanced shipbuilding power, might not have considered. Acting rashly, this, as I said, resulted in the destruction of the ship, the loss of nearly all hands, as well as his own life. In the end, as Nog put it, he may have been a great man, he may have been a good man, but he was ultimately a bad captain. He was not ready for the role, and his inexperience and arrogance showed in every action and decision and command that he made. Right. I hope that episode was interesting. I found the episode Valiant that the Red Squad crew appeared in to be one of the better episodes of Deep Space Nine as an episode in a bottle. It really showed what humanity was capable of during the war. It showed that they're not only that different to how we are now, they just like to pretend they are. It also was nice to see another Defiant class warship other than the USS Defiant for a change. It also introduced me to Courtney Peldon, who went on to be a long life crush. I mean, that woman is absolutely beautiful, and again, to be clear, we're the same age, so I'm not just creeping on a 17-year-old, which is what it's making me sound like right now, but beautiful woman. Forgot where I was up to. Like, share, subscribe, and bye-bye.